heaven is. So it's kind of like when we say we got to get out of our comfort zone. God got out of his comfort zone for our sake, to come down and be with us and like us. And he comes in the form of Jesus. And he comes in the form of a vulnerable baby. And in doing so, Christ teaches us to have faith. He teaches us to believe. And he teaches us that families come in many different forms. Christ listens to us, just like he listened to his people and became friends. And he teaches us the importance of friendships. You know, the Bible talks about the story of Mary and Martha and their brother Lazarus. And when Lazarus dies, Martha says to him, "If you would have been here, this would not have happened." And those words, I can imagine, cut pretty deep. And it's kind of a bold statement for her to be saying to Jesus. But it also is important because it shows how close their relationship is. You know, teenagers and young people these days, they say to their friends when they're talking on the phone or they're in person, they say, "I love you," when they leave each other or they hang up the phone. And when my daughters first said that to their friends, their girlfriends, I was like, it seems kind of strange, because I didn't grow up saying that to my girlfriends, you know, it just, I don't know, we just didn't say that. But then I got to think about it a little bit more. And I thought, you know what, that's pretty nice, because you need to hear it from other people besides your blood relatives. You know, and they aren't married, they don't have a spouse that they say to. And so I think it's nice that you say, "I love you, I respect you, I appreciate you sharing your time with me, you sharing things that are important to you with me in my life." Christ is sympathetic towards Mary and Martha, and the Bible says he even weeps. And he does the same for us. When we are having a difficult time, he is there weeping along with us. And he's not sitting on the right hand of the throne saying, "Get a grip, you know, get it together, Julie." And there have been times in my life, you know, when I have been very down, but I always think to myself, I know that there's plenty of other people who are struggling so much more than me. But I heard something really interesting on the radio yesterday, on his radio station. And the man who was speaking, he said, to God, cold and cancer are the same. And I just had to think about it. It's not the same for us, obviously. One's a lot more serious than the other, but they both bring us pain. And they both are something that we do struggle with. And that's what the speaker was trying to say. Whatever ails you, God is with you during that ailment. And he is holding your hand. And he's right there beside you. One doesn't outweigh the other. A struggle is a struggle, period. And it's the same with sin. It's not like we should say, okay, well, I know I shoplifted, but you know, it's better than armed robbery. No, sin is sin. And the same goes for sadness, and the same goes for struggle. And actually, the story of Lazarus teaches us so much about Christ and how not only he interacted with them, but how he continues to interact with us in our own life. In John chapter 11, Jesus said to Martha, "Your brother will rise again." And she answered, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." And Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" And Martha says, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." And after she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. So in this story of Mary and Martha and Lazarus and Jesus, we learn about love. We learn about life and death and resurrection and all that Jesus is willing to give up for us. And I love how Ephesians says he was not cautious but extravagant. When I hear the word extravagant, I automatically think of God. And another word that comes to mind is audacious. And that's what God provides. Audacious, extravagant love. He allowed himself, and it's important to have that word allowed. He allowed himself to be punished and to be whipped and to be ridiculed and crucified for our sake. Extravagant love. And following Lazarus being raised from the dead, a dinner is held. Mary and Martha want to say thank you to Jesus, so they have a dinner for him in his honor. And Mary pours out perfume on Jesus' feet and wipes his feet with her hair. One act of extravagant love in return for another. And the story of O. Henry, he wrote something called The Gift of the Magi, and it is also about extravagant love. Bellah and Jim are an American couple, and they're very, very much in love. But they are very, very poor. But they each have a precious possession. Bellah has long, beautiful hair, and Jim owns a gold pocket watch that his father gave him. Well, it's the day before Christmas, and Bellah really wants to get her husband something, but she only has $1.87. So she leaves the house and she goes and decides to cut her hair, and she gets $20 for it. And she decides to buy Jim a chain for his watch. Well, when Jim returns to the house and sees her without the hair, he's kind of shocked. And then he hands her his Christmas gift for her. And it is a turquoise shell comb for her hair. He had sold his father's watch to buy the combs for her hair. And she had sold her hair to buy the chain for the gold watch. Extravagant love for one another. And Jesus wants us to show extravagant love to each other and to find ways to do that. And we love because God first loved us. Christ teaches us to pray, to have complete confidence in who we are, to know that we are worthy of his love. He leads his disciples and continues to do so. I mean, have we ever thought about the Bible being a handbook? A handbook for life. It tells us what's important to God. It tells us how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of each other. It tells us about right from wrong, love, grace, and forgiveness. So whenever we're troubled or whenever we're happy, we just have to turn to the Bible. This week, I want you to pray about ways we can give of ourselves and watch for God.